This is Rob Temple for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted to be joined. We're here at Fight Camp.
Bloody hot.
Very, very hot.
Bloody hot. I hope it's not going to be this hot at Fight Camp, but it might be. It'll definitely be hot inside the ring, Rob.
Out of all of your salesman's pitches and little slogans, that wasn't your best.
I've been going for it today. I've been cooped up. I'm like a caged animal, wanting to get out and sell. Do you know what I mean? So we're here. This isn't the ring, by the way. Tony Bellew says, it's a small ring, isn't it? I said, actually, it's going to be twice the size. It's going to be back there. So just here for a few shots today, give people the idea of what's coming. And we've announced, I tried to announce every fight. We're about one short, or two short. I think we've got a great schedule. 4 weeks of action, obviously culminating in the big one, Whyte against Alexander Povetkin.
Just run us through those. Obviously, you've got press releases coming out. But
yeah.
Run us through the...
So week one, the first fight of Fight Camp will be Jordan Gill against Reece Bellotti. And I think the best way to describe this is, the great thing about Fight Camp and what's changed is, Jordan Gill was supposed to have a 6-rounder at the O2. I don't want to give Jordan Gill a 6-rounder. Do you want to watch Jordan Gill in a 6-rounder? No one does. So, good news, let's change boxing. Let's say, Jordan Gill, you can fight at Fight Camp, but you've got to fight a proper fight. You've got to fight Reece Bellotti. You know what he says? All right, Reece, you up for fighting Jordan Gill? Fuck it, yeah. Bosh, done. That's the first one, 10-round British title eliminator. And you know it's going to be a great fight. Fight number 2, Dalton Smith against Nathan Bennett. Nathan Bennett, I think, 9-1 from Liverpool. Massive step up for Dalton Smith. He's been fighting journeyman, let's be honest. I think one of the best young prospects in boxing, but let's see it. All of a sudden, we're now putting the prospects in proper fights as well. Fight number 3, brilliant heavyweight fight. Fabio Wardley against Simon Vallily, English heavyweight title. Big test for Wardley, managed by Whyte. Looks $1 million, but let's see. Vallily, tough as old boots, up at heavyweight, much better, much stronger. Chief support that night, James Tennyson against Gavin Gwynn, British lightweight title. Tennyson, for me, one of the most exciting fighters out there right now. Punches so hard at lightweight. You saw Gavin Gwynn have a war with Joe Cordina at the O2 as well. Main event, it's the egg v the cheese, and it ain't an omelette. It is Sam Eggington against Ted Cheeseman. If you ever want to know that you can put fights down on paper that will deliver, might live to regret this, but I don't think so. Eggington against Cheeseman is an absolute war. Eggington back with a big win in Italy, gets himself in a world top 10, don't ask me how, by winning the IBF international title. Cheeseman must win. You know, and that's week 1. And I look at that on paper and I think, fuck, that's a great night of boxing. Go into week 2 and we make history. First time 2 Brits have fought for the world title in women's boxing. Terry Harper, who, you know, everyone knows how much I love Katie Taylor. Terry Harper's coming up strong. You know, I'm such a big admirer of her and Steffi Ball, and she's fighting Natasha Jonas for the WBC world title. That was important for me because I really wanted to, you know, we've got British, European, Commonwealth title fights. We wanted to do a world title fight here as well. So we could at least say, we've done a world title fight out there once. And that is a brilliant fight. Sheffield, Doncaster, against Liverpool. Massive opportunity for Natasha Jonas to become a world champion. And a big opportunity for Terry Harper to keep that run going and move on to try and become undisputed champion herself. Chief support that night, we have Anthony Fowler. He's going to be fighting Adam Harper. Adam Harper, he's such a pest. He has just called me for like 2 years. Let me fight Fowler, let me fight Cheeseman, let me fight Fitzgerald. He went out, he went the distance with Zarafa in Australia. He's a very, very good fighter. And it's a good fight for Fowler to come back into as well. Really good fight for that fight. Aqib Fiaz against Kane Baker. 8-round fight, but a really, really interesting fight for Aqib Fiaz, who takes a big step up. Commonwealth Cruiserweight title fight on that card as well. Chris Billam-Smith against Nathan Thorley as well. And I'm going a bit slower here because I'm trying to remember the other fight that's on that card as well. We've got Terry Harper against, so we've got Hopi Price. We got Chris Billam-Smith against Nathan Thorley. We got Anthony Fowler against Adam Harper. I've got, fuck, what's the other fight?
Should we get running on?
No, do you know what? I never ever do this. This is just where I'm a little bit rusty at the moment. Hold on, got it written down now. Doing a bit of a Frank Warren. Yes, that's it. Harper Jonas, Fowler against Harper, Fiaz Baker, Billam-Smith against Thorley, and Hopi Price. I didn't even forget one. That was all the fights. 5 fights. Billam-Smith, really good fight with Thorley. So that's week 2. Terry Harper against Natasha Jonas, Anthony Fowler against Adam Harper, Chris Billam-Smith against Nathan Fawley, Akib Fayez v Kane Baker, and Hopi Price. Week 3, Felix Cash against Jason Wellborn. Great fight for the Commonwealth middleweight title. We all saw Felix Cash against Jack Cullen, one of my favourite fights. It's going to be an absolute war. Zelfa Barrett against Eric Donovan, undefeated Irishman. Brilliant, brilliant fight. Zelfa Barrett's first fight for us. Kieran Conway against Nav Mansouri, another really good fight, an important fight on the super welterweight scene. John Doherty and Shannon Courtenay against Rachel Bull, another very, very competitive fight. Going to week 4, Alexander Povetkin against Dillian Whyte, main event. Katie Taylor will be defending her undisputed titles. We'll come on to that fight shortly. Martin Bakole will fight Sergey Kuzman. Luther Clay will fight Chris Congo. And we did have Jason Quigley against Jack Cullen, but last night Jason Quigley pulled out of the fight. So we have at least 2 more fights to add to week 4. But that's where we have it. We're nearly done.
So that's all of the shows together. Obviously, we've been waiting on the announcement for a while now. What was the hold up, and how good does it feel to actually get
Dates,
it
really,
done?
yeah, more dates. I mean, it's been quite funny because everybody wants to fight, and then you say, right, you're fighting in the end of July, and they go, oh, my sparring's not quite, you know, could I have an extra week? What that means is you probably ate a little bit too much in lockdown, and you know those Instagram posts you put up about you running half marathons each day? I'm not sure you did. So it was about that. It was about scheduling times, about the Premier League finish week of July 25th. So obviously for Sky, you know, now they've got all the boxing in August. It was a little bit about making sure the council were happy with what we were doing here. That took a little bit of time. That's now over the line. And it was also about gearing up the final week, the pay-per-view event, on the right Saturday. So we were going to go July 25th, we pushed it back a week because you have Champions League football on the 8th and the 15th of August. So just so you know, one thing I didn't include was we go Saturday the 1st, Friday the 7th, Friday the 14th and Saturday August 22nd.
How do you imagine that's going to affect your viewing figures? Obviously the world's starved of live sport at the minute. What are you looking at? What are you expecting?
I think you can't take it for granted, Rob. I mean, you've seen with Top Rank, it's not a pop at them. I like Top Rank, I like Bob Arum. Their figures have been awful. And you know why? Because the content's not good enough and the stories haven't been told. And it's just in a conference room, in a casino. This is why I wanted to do this. And you know what, even 3 days ago, people were saying to me, you know what, it'd be a lot cheaper if we just do it in a studio or do it in York Hall. I said, that's shit. I said, you can't come back in a studio with no, I mean, it's hard enough getting an atmosphere everywhere. At least have this, at least have fireworks over there, ring walks, you know, the lights dip, you got London in the background, you got the house behind you, this is the headquarters. Boxing's sexy, let's make it sexy. We ain't worked this hard for 10 years just to come back with dross. And by the way, when we come back with the fights, don't do A-level guys against E-level guys. Do B-level guys against B-level guys if you got to. Do C-level guys against C-level guys. It don't matter, but as long as it's great boxing, as long as it's a tear-up, we're in. And you know, you've got to show the fighters, sorry, the crowd, what is great about this sport. And mismatches are not great. And I've had loads of stick about mismatches in the past, but sometimes, unfortunately, mismatches have been a part of boxing, where someone's got to learn, you know, where someone's got to, you know, coming back from a loss. The great news about fight camp, the first rule of fight camp is there's no easy fights. And that is the case throughout this entire 4-week schedule.
How did that go down with some fighters? Obviously, you mentioned the fact that you suggested it to, for example, Jordan Gill, Reece Bellotti. They jumped at the opportunity. Not naming any names, but I'm sure there are some fighters.
Some haven't.
Maybe,
no, some haven't, and it's goodbye from me for now. It's not take this fight or I'll never speak to you again. It's if you want to fight now, if you want to fight in fight camp, this is the fight I want you to take, or this is the fight. You know, it's not him or nothing. It's this one or this one or this one, this one, this one. Oh no, that's not. By the way, I respect that. If you're not ready, if you're not confident, if you don't fancy it, if you want easy touches, you can wait a little bit longer. But if you're ready, if you believe you can win, if you want to take this opportunity of a lifetime to get back on the horse and put your name in the picture, take it. I've been astonished by some fighters, and it makes me think, actually, do you want to fight? What are you? Are you an Instagram fighter, or do you want to get out there and actually listen to us and let you be guided to the World Championship? Oh, wait. I'll wait till the crowds are back. Really? What? November, December, January, February? You know. So, but you're talking about a sprinkle full. You know, the real fighters say, yeah, I'm ready, I've been working hard. Yeah, look, I might have put on a bit of timber in lockdown, but I trained hard. And now I'm back in the gym, I'm sparring, I'm a pro fighter, that's what I do. Give me a fucking fight. And they're the ones that, you know, you see in fight camp.
And obviously the jewel of the crown as far as the scheduling goes is Whyte Povetkin, big heavyweight fight out here. How difficult was that to get over the line?
Very difficult because of the numbers, you know, and you have to give a lot of credit to Dillian Whyte because, you know, he's taking a run at this show, he's taking a risk that the public will support him, and they will. But he wanted to fight. You know, I go back to the people who might have said, oh no, I'll wait to the crowd. Dillian Whyte wants to fight, he wants a tear up for your entertainment, so let's really get behind him. I've got to be honest with you, standing here knowing that I'm doing Dillian Whyte against Alexander Povetkin here makes me think, fuck, that's amazing. And I'm quite proud of that achievement, to be honest with you, and we owe a lot to Dillian Whyte. The fans owe a lot to Dillian Whyte because everybody said you can't bring big time boxing back yet. Well, we're doing it. You know, any boxing that comes back now should be commended, but any great fights, any big fights should be, you know, we should be polished for that.
What logistically, how's it going to work with Povetkin? I mean, where's he based at the minute?
He's in Russia. Yeah, there's already an exemption really in place for elite athletes that come over. Cut a long story short, by August the 15th, which is when he'll fly in, there will not be quarantine in this country. If there is, he would come 14 days earlier. It's not a problem. In terms of logistics itself, every fighter will arrive on Tuesday, a fight week. They will go down to the hotel that we've designated for this event, bottom of the road, and then you will go in, you'll get tested, you'll go straight to your room. There'll be security on all the floors. You will not be allowed to leave your room until you get your result. Touch wood, you're negative. You go into, I guess what everyone's called it at the moment, the bubble, and you can go to the gym in the hotel, you can go to the restaurant, just around people that have been tested and have been negative. I will say, it's a bit of a moving beast at the moment, that listen, maybe in 6 or 7 weeks, things have changed. Maybe you can come down here, Rob, you know, during the week. Maybe we have a couple of friends in. But right now, we're planning everything around this event like it was happening tomorrow.
It's the first time I've actually been down to Matchroom HQ.
Is it? Yeah, nice, huh?
It's about moving up in the world.
Oh, well done, mate. Yeah.
Or down.
Well, you're only one of a couple who got invited because of social distancing measures, which you're very on the borderline of, but you know.
Difficult for us to keep a 2 metre distance to the best of time, Eddie. But anyway, moving on. Dillian Whyte, I spoke to Mauricio Sulaiman in the week about I didn't actually speak to him about anything. He commented the legal case with regards to Dillian Whyte. Is there anything that you can tell me about that?
Not really, only that, you know, I've been in correspondence. I mean, get a bit of stick with people say, oh, you know, he's not pushing Dillian Whyte. Fuck me, we've pushed Dillian Whyte. Jesus Christ. I mean, and it was even recently, 2 weeks ago, wrote to him again. You know, we know the lawyers are involved. Everybody's moving forward to try and get what Dillian Whyte deserves. And by the way, if he beats Alexander Povetkin here, how long's he got to wait? I mean, what would that have been there? You know, Elenius, Chisora, Joseph Parker, Chisora, Oscar Rivas, Alexander Povetkin. You know, enough's enough. And, you know, we've got to make sure we deliver that for him.
Also mentioned to Mauricio Sulaiman, obviously being the head of a governing body, the conversation that we had on Zoom about one entity in boxing, somebody needs to be an overseeing figure.
Bet that went down well.
Yeah, Mauricio's words were, if Eddie Hearn wants to come on here and debate me, I'm welcome to do it. So there's the offer for that. But just explain that to me, and explain that on the back of obviously those comments from a head of a governing body.
Well, what that means is if there was one entity and there wasn't a governing body, and this is something that the PBC tried to do years ago, it would be a lot easier. You wouldn't have politics, you wouldn't have undisputed fights falling through, because you'd have one governing body. And the best example of that is the UFC. I mean, it's no secret that one of the keys to the UFC's success is total ownership of the sport, and being able to make the fights that fans want to see, and saying to fighters, you know, we'll treat you fair, but you've got to give, if you want to get paid big money, you've got to be in fights that drive numbers. And this is the fight we'd like you to take, and if you don't want to take that fight, it's a bit like, you know, I'm going to lose fighters over the next few months and years because we've got to get tougher. We're still going to treat them with the utmost respect. We're still going to be as fair as we can, but we bulldozed our way into America paying crazy money. Well, we're in now, and this has happened. So we've got to reset, we've got to readjust. We've still got to be paying you more money than anyone else can pay you. We just got to understand the game's changed a little bit. And a lot of promoters will be using that as an excuse because they run a poor business before to try and bring fighter purses down. All I'm saying is if it's a fight that doesn't deliver the numbers, if it's a fight that doesn't drive subscribers, if it's a fight that doesn't drive pay-per-views or put bums on the seats when that's available, you can't create these numbers out of the air and say that's what it's worth, because it's very transparent.
It's a topic for another day, because we've got 5 minutes. Obviously we're very busy today with various media coming down to interview, but it's something that we'll pick up in another interview. Move on to the heavyweights, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. What's the latest with regards to that?
Nothing really. There hasn't been a huge amount of conversation. I mean, you've seen Bob Arum's comments, I think, in the last couple of days to say he's now leading all negotiations on behalf of Tyson Fury, which is fine. I spoke to Bob last night, had a very long chat. He was very proud to say he's the man in charge of Tyson Fury, and I get on right with Bob. And I think, you know, we said we'll keep those talks going. We're working hard now to look at potential sites, and yeah, it's all moving forward off the basis of, you know, everybody agreeing in writing that we're going to move forward with the fight on the basis of the deals, the splits that were discussed.
Just go into that. Obviously, Bob's now leading the negotiations on behalf of Team Fury. Last time we spoke on Zoom, that was the role attributed to Daniel Kinahan. Tyson Fury has since distanced himself and severed the partnership with Daniel Kinahan. What's happened to kind of make that happen? 2 weeks ago when we spoke, or a week ago when we spoke, Daniel Kinahan was integral to this deal being made, and now it seems as though the deal will be made without him.
I think it's just part of Team Fury's decision to be who will be leading those negotiations. You know, when we first started negotiating, you know, we know who we were dealing with. We were told to deal with that individual. Now that's changed, and we've been told that Bob Arum is in charge of Tyson Fury and leading those negotiations. So we're fine with that. Our job is to make the fights that we need to make, and particularly for Anthony Joshua, we need to make the undisputed fight. So we'll deal with whoever is the lead promoter of Tyson Fury, and that's Bob Arum, and we'll deal with that. I mean, you know, and I think the only thing that would really slow the fight down is probably me dealing with Frank Warren on it, and I would be prepared to do that, by the way. But him not being involved probably will make it a little bit easier, and myself and Bob will grind the deal out.
I think Frank said something to the effect of, if we put down the 10 sticking points in negotiations, you can flip a coin. Do you believe that?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a couple of interviews from Frank where he sort of, oh, it's not done yet, and we've got this to overcome. It sounded very negative. But with Frank not being involved in negotiations, it will be a little bit easier, because, like you said, you know, those flipper coins, that's not really how it'll play out in that scenario. You know, we've seen it in recent situations, even on a smaller level with Conor Benn and Chris Jenkins. It's like pulling teeth trying to make fights there. So, you know, I think whilst, you know, we know Frank will be at the fight and all that kind of stuff, the fact that all the negotiations will be done between myself and Bob Arum is probably for the good of the fight. So, and by the way, you know, it's not a case of I'm not working with Frank Warren. Of course, if he was in charge, if he was put in charge of the negotiations with Tyson Fury, I would deal with Frank Warren, but he hasn't been.
Final one on that. One thing that just popped up, obviously people are talking about locations, potential locations moving forward. How big of an obstacle is the fact that Tyson Fury doesn't have a British Boxing Border Control licence for that fight happening?
I only found that out the other day, actually. But, you know, he would just apply for that licence, and I don't know if there's a reason why the board would not give Tyson Fury a licence. I don't believe so. So he's boxed. The reason probably he doesn't have a British Boxing Border Control licence is because his last 3-4 fights have been in America. So yeah, I think that's a question for them. But we'd love to fight in the UK, and I'm sure if we did it in the UK, he would apply for a British Boxing Border Control licence. And if there's any reason why he wouldn't get it, then he wouldn't get it.
Final question, because I am being hurried up here. Alexander Usyk. I spoke to Alex Krasiuk.
Yep.
Always great to speak to
Good
Alex
guy,
Krasiuk.
very good
really
guy,
good guy. They don't seem intent on moving anywhere with this.
I don't think anyone would. You know, Dillian Whyte's not moving anywhere. Usyk's not moving anywhere. They're mandatory. They want their shot. So, you know, we'll see where it takes us.
Okay. Well, Eddie Hearn, always a pleasure. Thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social and having us down to Fight Camp. Can't wait to see it all kick off.
See you soon, mate.